Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. I want to start by asking our very special guests our set of questions. Craig, I'll start with you since you're on the left. I tend to just go left to right. Are you ready to play 5 questions with Stogie Geeks?
Oh, let's do it.
All right. 3 words to describe yourself.
Chatty, accepting, and objective.
If you were a serial killer, what would be your weapon of choice?
Oh, spoon.
If you wrote a book about yourself, what would the title be? In the popular game of Ask Grabby Grabby, do you prefer to go first or second?
I definitely prefer to go second.
If you could have dinner with one celebrity, who would it be?
Dead or alive?
Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Luis de Torres.
Pick a random number from 1 through 10.
2.
A penguin walks through the door right now wearing a sombrero. What does he say and why is he here?
He tells me that he's wearing the sombrero because he saw my avatar on Half-Ashed, and he's here to tell me that it was actually a good fashion statement.
Very nice. Kip Fisher, 3 words to describe yourself.
Aye. Does that count?
Yes. If you were a serial killer, what would be your weapon of choice?
Fishing rod.
If you wrote a book about yourself, what would the title be?
It would just be a self-named autobiography with a byline of how a hillbilly came to be a cigar dude.
In the popular game of Ask Grabby Grabby, do you prefer to go first or second?
Well, if I'm forced into it, I guess I'd go first just to get it over with.
If you could have dinner with just one celebrity, alive or dead, who would it be?
Alejandro Robaina.
Pick a random number from 1 to 10, but not 2.
7.
7's a popular. Everyone picks 7. If you were a Star Trek or Star Wars character, which one would it be?
Be Jar Jar Binks.
No one has ever said Jar Jar Binks.
Because he sucks.
I would have to go with Mace Windu because I think he didn't get enough screen time.
I agree. I'm a Han Solo person myself. And as far as dinner with one celebrity, Snoop Doggy Dogg. That's how I roll.
Snoop Doggy Dogg.
He'd be up there.
He's up there, right? And if you had to pick 2 celebrities to be your parents, Snoop Doggy Dogg is not on my list. I'm going.
No way. He would be higher on my list for that question.
Robert Downey Jr. and Betty White still. Ron Jeremy, I don't know. That's a pretty good one too.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go for it, shoot for the moon.
I know.
Have it be John Holmes, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think your best answer is Betty White.
A lot
That's
of people
perfect.
say that. Well, and that just didn't come off the cuff. Like I had to think about that one.
No, I can't find a single thing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like if you would have a celebrity mom, like perfect, right? Because you can't pick someone like totally hot that you're attracted to, because that's just weird. Well, I don't know, Kip. You're from the South. Maybe that kind of thing.
We don't go too far out of the valley.
All right, Mr. Will Cooper, what have you been smoking?
Well, it's actually good that, we kind of talked a little about this in the last segment in terms of a cigar that you once had, and then, you go back and revisit it, and suddenly it's a much better cigar. And this blend falls into that category. And that's the Casada Selección España in the Corona size. I've been on this Casada kick lately, so Stogie Sander gifted me this one a while ago, and I wanted to smoke it again in the Corona. It's an Ecuadorian Arapiraca wrapper, a Dominican binder, with fillers of Dominican, Nicaraguan, and Connecticut broadleaf, and it's a 5.5 by 42. So this was that cigar originally for the Spanish market that basically they took it down to Pro Cigar, and all the retailers wanted it, so it made it to the U.S. right now. When I smoked this about 3 years ago, I thought it was a good cigar. I didn't think it was a great cigar. But I had smoked more of the Robusto and the Petit Robusto sizes. When I went back and smoked it in the Corona, I really, really love this cigar. It's a classic smoking cigar. It's got notes of nut, pepper, natural tobacco, some cedar notes. It's medium to full in terms of both strength and body, but the strength does sneak up on you in this cigar at the end. I wouldn't have said this 3 years ago, but this is a box-worthy cigar in my book, and I'm glad I've kind of reserved judgment on it because I get now what this cigar is all about.
I find that blend to be very inconsistent, Will. Speaking of that.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and I've really only smoked the Corona in short Robusto size, so I can't really speak to the other sizes. But, I've had Coronas that have been just awesome, and some that are just okay. Same thing with the short Robusto. I tend to favor the short Robusto, but I still find it to be somewhat inconsistent in terms of construction and sometimes flavor.
I've had
cigar
burn
for
issues
the
with the
first time.
Robustos, definitely, in the past.
Mark Jr. is shaking his head.
I wildly disagree with Paul Abdul right now.
Because you love the
You
Corona.
had a Chuck Norris. You had a Chuck Norris on this, Mark.
Just as much as you love Chuck Norris, you've loved every España Corona you've smoked.
And I've probably smoked
a whole
approaching
box.
100 of them.
Yeah.
I've smoked
more, but multiple.
Well, 100's an overshot, right? I've smoked two
More than a
boxes.
box,
I
yeah.
might have a box left, and if another one showed up, I'd buy another one.
It's interesting.
That Corona is probably my favorite,
Clearly, I don't know
medium
what I'm talking about then.
minus, slightly less than medium strength cigar that I've ever had, probably.
Interesting.
I had those for the first time. I was actually in the Dominican before before Pro Cigar, that first Pro Cigar, and before they were ever released in the American market. And I was at the Casada factory, and we tried those just as hey, this is something that we're working on. It's for the European market. It's going relatively well there. And I was with a good friend of mine, Luke Walker, and he thought that it was, quite frankly, the best cigar that he had had on that trip and one of the best Dominican cigars he had ever had in his life. And I thought that it was exceptionally good, but it reminded me too much of a Partagas Serie D4 in the Robusto Vitola. I just thought that they were trying to go for that. If we're going to go for the Spanish market, let's try to make it taste Cuban.
Yeah.
And so I didn't respect it enough because of that. I thought that it was trying to be an impersonation rather than a good cigar on its own merit. And then in the true form of how I described myself, I tried to be as objective with it as possible, and just couldn't find a single negative thing about any of the Vitolas I had in that line. The Selection de España is probably easily in the top 5 best cigars to come out in the last 5 years for me.
Oh, I think I agree with that statement. Absolutely. I didn't care much for the bigger sizes. I definitely preferred the Corona and the short Robusto to the Robusto and was it no, I don't remember what the other one was, but
Yeah, this is a bell and a ball, the Corona.
I agree. I'm with you on that, Coop. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go smoke one of them. You all right?
Yeah, I'm rebooting.
Oh, okay. What did everyone light up as their second cigar?
Tramp stamp.
Oh no, I like the tramp stamp. I like
Yeah.
I like a lot of the Craig's giving a face over there.
Oh man, I have the closest I've been to puking in years was after a tramp stamp.
I think when a lot of those lines were initially released, there was the Animal Cracker, the tramp stamp. What was the other one in that line?
Crystal Baller.
Yeah, the Crystal Baller.
No, see, the Animal Cracker wasn't in it.
It wasn't in that
It was
line.
Skull
Yeah.
Breaker.
It was Skull Breaker.
Skull Breaker, Crystal Baller, Tramp Stamp, and
I thought all those were pretty good. I think I like the tramp stamp the best, though. I had one recently. I liked it. And my family gets a kick out of, we're sitting around the campfire. I'm like, I'm smoking a tramp stamp. They're like, what? I'm like, that's the name of the cigar. I'm like, how cool is that? They all get a kick out of it. Craig, what'd you light up?
I'm still going on my special.
Yeah, I just put down my my father, and I'm right now lighting up the tramp stamp.
Mark Jr.
One of those Deslinio Siglio Opus X Lanceros.
How's that
Wow.
doing?
Awesome.
They were a little young when they first came in.
Yes, they were. But
God bless
let's
you.
see. I think this might be the first one I've smoked since they came out. I smoked 2 or 3 when they first came out.
I smoked one, and I pretty much put the rest of mine to rest.
I think I smoked 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gotten better.
It's gotten better, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's mild. It's like
Not as strong as your typical Opus X, right?
no, not at all.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Well, Cooper, what about you?
I just about to fire up the La Polina Maduro in the 40, so I guess technically that can qualify as a Lancero.
Cool. I lit up. I didn't light up a Lancero. I lit up a Debonair Robusto that I've been dying to smoke. And from what I've smoked with it so far, it's fantastic. And I know they're a sponsor, and I sound like a shill, but I've been smoking a lot of Debonair in all the different sizes in the line, from the first degree, which is a little short Perfecto, to the Seguita, which is a Petite Lancero, to the Salomon, the Toro. And the Robusto is one I haven't actually smoked a lot of, and I tell you what, it's pretty fantastic. I really enjoy that. Out of all the different cigar brands coming out, I don't know. There's very few brands where I enjoy the different Vitolas in the line as much as I do with Debonair. So, and again, I know I sound like a shill, but I've been smoking a lot of them lately. When Phil Zangi was here, the local shop ran a special. It was 15% off Debonair, so I picked up kind of a line sampler, and I've been smoking my way through it, and they're really, really good. Let's see. Well, I kind of talked about what I've been smoking. Are you back up online?
I am. Battled through a cold this week, so I only have a couple additions to the conversation. But I smoked finally that Quesada 40th. The box
Monster.
press Toro.
Yeah.
The box press Toro.
Box press Toro, okay. Not the double Salomon ridiculous thing.
No.
Okay.
I haven't worked up the courage to be. If you want me to be particularly
I smoked 2
honest.
Salomons today. Get on it, dude.
I don't know how you do it.
Wait, I'm the diva? What the frick?
No, I'm just. I get bored quick. So it's a 6x49 box press Toro. These were much more limited than the other ones aren't limited at all. So let's say that the other ones have become regular production. This and the Salomon press are the limited sizes that they came out with, but they're the same blend, unlike the Corona Classica that we smoked last week.
Mm-hmm.
San Andreas wrapper, Dominican binder, Dominican and Nicaraguan fillers. You know, I really, really liked what Quesada was doing for a little while, and I don't know if I'm 100% on board anymore. This cigar didn't resonate completely with me. Not exactly sure why.
A couple of people have said that about the 40th blend that just came out.
Yeah.
I
don't think it was bad.
It's not bad, but it's
it's not a bad cigar. I'd say definitely give it a
high.
shot.
They set the bar high, dude, with Oktoberfest in certain sizes and the España, right?
Right. So that's specifically what I'm speaking to when I say I was way into it. The Oktoberfest, I love them.
Love them all.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And the España, I agree with Craig. I think it's probably one of the better cigars that's come out over the past few years.
I don't disagree. I've had, some ones that haven't been as good as others, but the ones that are on, man, are freaking awesome.
This one I found to be a little...
You think it's an age thing? You think it just is age?
It could, but it's not like... it doesn't have like a harshness to it or anything that would draw somebody away from it. I just don't think it resonated with my palate. I found it to be a little unbalanced, really. you
Yeah.
know, towards the earthy side, and that never really resonates very well with me.
No, yeah, you're not a big fan of that earth.
So, um, real. If I'm going to be objective, though, fantastic construction. The burn was
Mhm.
perfect, uh, and you know, so there's probably people out there that'll really like it, just not me.
Kip, I want to turn it over to you. Are there some a cigar that you smoked recently that you want to talk about?
Sure. We were talking a little bit while we were in the break with Coop, with a couple of new ones I'd had this week. But the one that stood out for me, and I think for Coop as well, was the Sam Lucia's new cigar, the Luchador.
Hmm.
And I'm just a crazy fan of Mexican San Andreas wrapper anyway.
Hmm.
But I think Sam did an excellent job with that cigar. I think he did not fall into the default or the standard idea when the blenders are working with that wrapper and just going over the top with the sweetness. He tempered that with some, some oomph. There's some potency to the blend, and Coop made a comment, and I've heard it in a couple other places where it goes from zero to knock you out just instantly, and it does. It definitely, somewhere before the halfway point of the cigar for me, it just really amped up a notch in terms of strength, but as well as the flavor. And I love I just love the blend. I think it's a great smoke.
I really appreciate cigars that do that, right? They kind of start off almost mild, almost medium, and then kind of build, right? It's that transition that really keeps you occupied, keeps you on your toes, and I really appreciate that in a cigar. Um, the Osaka that I smoked recently actually did that for me. This was kind of a perfecto size. I apologize, I didn't have time to put together a lot of information about the cigars.
It's
I
from
smoked.
that Leroy and the Darkmaster.
Yeah, it comes with that paper wrapper with
Exclusive.
all the artwork on it, and it's a shorter perfecto. Help me out here.
Tobacco Haven, I believe.
Yeah.
Is who got
Yep.
that?
Yeah. It was really good, and that started out kind of like medium bodied, and really built up in strength as it went. Um, extremely fantastic flavors. I really liked it. I would probably give it somewhere between a fiver and a box worthy. I'd have to smoke more of them to make a full assessment on it. But I really enjoyed this cigar. Out of some of the cigars that I smoked that were new, this one really stuck out. I haven't really been digging some of the Osaka stuff that came out. This one's a winner. You got to try this one. Do you remember what it's called exactly?
Leroy and the Darkmaster. So Edgar Hoyle made that cigar,
Mhm.
and then Christian Arroyo made a. As I have it, or do I not? No, I think I
Yeah,
took it out.
you
Actually,
smoked the Leroy.
yeah, and Christian Arroyo made a Shaggy Foot Torpedo.
Okay.
The Shaggy Foot Torpedo. That's in
Yep.
there. So
Yep.
it's
Okay.
like a collaboration, one of each type too.
This one was
Like I said, I think
fantastic.
it was Tobacco Haven. Am I correct in that, Coop?
Yes, Tobacco Haven in New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire, yeah.
It's their exclusive.
Right.
Will, back to you. Oh, sorry. No,
so I
wait.
guess
I'm
we're
sorry.
talking about strength.
I skipped.
And I
Sorry, Will. I skipped Craig.
okay.
Craig, I wanted to go to you to see what you've been smoking lately that sticks out in your mind.
I've just been enjoying the conversation. I love hearing about all this. We talk on our show about how I'm not the guy who goes into a B&M and says, "Give me the newest thing there."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not me either, by the way.
I know. I struggle with that sometimes too.
I live vicariously through the guys who do that, and I appreciate it. It's just not who I am. So this week I went to another older cigar. It tends to be what I smoke. Actually, it was last week, but it's noteworthy. It was Trinidad 40th anniversary. The Trinidad brand had been, it's been around obviously now for more than 40 years. But for probably 25 of those, it was strictly a diplomatic cigar. So it has a history that really is different than most other cigar brands that you're going to find out there. So this was an interesting one. The Trinidad blend is typically almost cloyingly sweet, very, very high on the vanilla and cocoa bean flavors. And it's one reason why I tend to stay away from the the blend a little bit. But this was just so much more subdued, so much more balanced, very sweet. But think of like if you're gonna have a chocolate chip cookie with milk chocolate chips in comparison to a chocolate chip cookie with dark chocolate chips. That dark chocolate chip cookie is so much more balanced out. It doesn't have the sweet batter and the sweet chips. This was just the yin with the yang, and it really was a great compliment to the Trinidad blend. It's a good cigar.
It's funny. Mark Jr. was just pointing at me. Mark Jr. and I shared. We each smoked our own cigar, but it was the same cigar, and it was a Trinidad. Do you remember what the specifics on that one?
Yeah, it was a Coloniales from 2003.
And it was fantastic. We snuck out of your daughter's birthday party actually, because we had to go get more cake. So Mark Jr. and I instantly volunteered. We'll drive to the store and get more cake. And I'm like, Mark Jr., go to your humidor and get some cigars so we can go in my truck and smoke and have cigars on the way to the store. And we did, and that was the cigar he chose. And it was very sweet flavors, as Craig is spot on in his assessment.
Absolutely, nailed it. But you know what's interesting is I shared this with you that day, but that was the first Cuban cigar that I, where I, got it.
Yeah.
All right, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it now, And my father-in-law gave that to me. It was they're a 5.13, so it's at 5 1/8 by 44.
Yeah.
So it's like a Corona.
Fantastic cigar.
Yeah. Awesome cigar.
Will, back to you.
Okay, we were talking about strong cigars, and I got to try a few of these this week. And it's the latest from Camacho. It's the Camacho Ecuador. And this blend actually really intrigued me when I looked at the blend. It's obviously, because it's Ecuador, it uses a Habano Ecuador wrapper. It's got a Matafina binder from Brazil. And then it's got a mix of Corojo, Criollo, and Pelo de Oro from Honduras and the Dominican Republic. And I smoked a couple of the 6x50 Toros, reasonably priced, $7. And when Camacho did this rebranding last year, they focused on this bold standard. And I don't want to say that they haven't achieved bold cigars with this rebranding, but some of them weren't as bold as I was expecting. This one is bold. This is everything about the bold standard what it should be. This is definitely of the new Camachos. This is the fullest in terms of strength and body. You're going to feel the power of this cigar, especially when you retrohale it. I had a pretty big meal, and when I smoked this, my legs were a little rubbery. It's strong. The flavors, though, are there. Red pepper. It's got some red pepper. It's got some cedar sweetness and earth. And even in the second half, I was picking up this chocolate cream note, which I was really surprised about. We were talking when we smoked a few weeks ago about the Sake Bomb from Espinosa. And Stogie Santa made the comment how it's got the strength, but it doesn't assault the palate. I think this is another one of those cases. It's been my favorite of the new Camachos to date since they've done this rebranding. It's box worthy at this price and what this cigar delivers. And I'm hearing a lot of people say very favorable things about this Camacho. I think they did real good with this one. It's one I'd recommend trying.
Coop, what was that one, Coop? I'm sorry.
The Camacho Ecuador Toro.
Yeah.
It's the one it just hit the stores this week. So I don't know over time. Maybe it will lose a little bit of that strength, but right now it's smoking great.
Is that the one with the blue band on it?
Yep, it's one with the blue band. I have a picture on the Stogie feed if folks want to look at it as well.
Hey, Will, you did a show, I think by yourself, because things went down and you had to carry the torch. Was that the El Cedro?
Yes.
Can you just give listeners a little bit of background and point them to the episode on that?
Yeah, so we had on Anwar from El Cedro, and he is a boutique that launched about a year ago. What's significant about what he's doing is he's making that cigar out of the Kellner Boutique Factory, which is Henke Kellner's son's factory. So it's a small factory. This is a small production cigar. It's a Dominican. It's mostly Dominican. It's Dominican wrapper, binder, and filler.
Yeah,
But there
I
is
got
some
that. Was it
Nicaraguan in the filler as well.
794? Is that what is? Was there a number on there? The ones
A
you
number.
sent me. What did you send me to smoke for the show?
I sent you in terms of the which one I sent you.
Yeah.
It was the Corona Gordo.
Okay.
It's a 5.5 by 46.
Yep.
I liked it a lot. He has two sizes, that and the Robusto, and I think the Corona Gordo really is the one that shines with that blend.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. And I don't know if it was because of the name. I was thinking kind of cedar. I did get a very strong cedar aroma from the wrapper and from the foot as well, and that definitely persisted throughout the cigar. And I thought it was good. It didn't. And I don't mean to knock the cigar, right? But it didn't differentiate itself from a lot of the other cigars that I've been smoking recently in the past month or so. But it was a very good cigar. Certainly a 5-er rating is a favorable cigar, in my opinion, from our rating system. And I did enjoy it. I just, it's not something I would reach for all the time. Necessarily wasn't not necessarily my flavor profile all the time, but it was a good cigar.
Yeah, I had it at a box split. I thought it was I think that's a fair assessment in terms of. You're right. It's not going to be something where you're going to get something revolutionary out of it, but I thought it delivered a pretty good cigar, and it's more in the it's not an overpowering cigar, but it did have.
No.
I like the flavors at least that came out of it.
Yep, I agree. Mark Jr., back to you.
I went back to one of the Room 101 Master Collection number ones that I hadn't tried. I tried the. I specifically reached for this because Stogie Santa said that these were really improving. And I reached for the Roxio, which is the Robusto. It's what is it, a 5 by 48 or something like that?
I think it's a 4 by 48 actually.
It is a 4. You're right. We can always lean on Coop to be, our
cigar encyclopedia.
Yeah, exactly. It's a 4 by 48. It has a Mexican Rosado, San Andreas Rosado wrapper, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Honduran binder. Honduran, Mexican, and Nicaraguan fillers. I thought this cigar kicked ass, to be honest with you. I thought this, at first, I really liked the Papi Chulo,
Papa Chulo is very good.
the Petit Corona.
Yeah.
I think this cigar's better.
Really?
I
I'm
do.
gonna have to give that one a shot.
I thought it had an awesome, sweetness to it that really kind of stuck through the whole cigar. It was almost like a syrup sweetness, not maple syrup, though, like a simple syrup, almost like a sugary type sweetness.
Yeah.
And it was nicely balanced with some cedar flavors and some almost like a slight chocolatey type flavor, maybe a little bit of a mocha type flavor to it. I really dug it. I think this was a home run by him. I think he's been doing. I was not terribly impressed by Room 101 in the beginning.
Until this master collection.
No, the Daruma really was the turning point for me.
Daruma in this master collection. Yeah, absolutely.
But since then, I feel like he's been really doing a much better job of producing cigars that are enjoyable, to me at least, regularly. So,
the cigar
I just ordered some more.
And it didn't impress me when it came out. It was good when it came out, but now I think it's smoking the best. It's actually not the Namakubi, but the second Namakubi, the Namakubi Ecuador. That's the one right now. I think that I could not believe how good that cigar got.
That was very good, too. I think, Cooper, you might have sent me a Lancero of that. Is that right?
I did.
Yeah, that was very good. I actually went and ordered some more Darumas, right? Some of the Daruma Golds, which are the same but with a Maduro wrapper. Mm-hmm. And then I ordered some more of these and some more of the Master Collection number 2s today. So I will have more Room 101s to talk about in the future when they show up.
Along the lines of morning smokes, and Craig, kind of back to your point, smoking new cigars is kind of tiring to me. And the EP Carrillo New Wave, the short run Connecticut's.
Oh, God, are you kidding me?
I bought a box of the in like the Toro size of those cigars.
The middle size.
The middle size, yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost very similar to a Toro size.
The 5 7/8 by 52, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that cigar is just phenomenal. I mean, the smell off the wrapper and the foot is just full of sweetness and cedar, and it smokes that way too, like vanilla, wood. It's just awesome.
So after
Awesome
the old
cigar.
people and the divas left my daughter's party on Saturday, I grabbed a couple of them from my brother and a coworker of mine.
Yeah.
The Robusto, the Exquisito size.
Yes, you like the. Well, you bought all the Robustos. So
I did.
there was none left for me, so I had to buy the Toro size.
They are like smoking exceptionally well right now.
Really well
like,
right
very,
now.
very well. Yeah.
Yeah, and for something with a Connecticut in the name to age like that is just
That might have been
It's
a
unheard
turning
of.
point for me
It's unheard
for
of.
Connecticut wrapped cigars.
unheard of. One of the best Connecticut wrap cigars ever, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I agree.
Kip, what about you? Anything else you've been smoking this week that sticks out in your mind?
Nothing right off the top of my head. I mean, I tried a couple other new ones. I'm looking here. I put little Ziploc bags here by my chair on the patio. When it's full, I'll get another one. But just throwing bands in to keep up with what I've been smoking.
Yep.
We were talking again during the break. I basically tried 3 new cigars this week. The La Silla Luchador that I mentioned earlier, and Crowned Head's new Las Calaveras, and the new My Father La Antigüedad.
What did you think of the crown heads? The new one.
The Crowned Heads I really enjoyed. It was, of course, this one was produced by My Father rather than EPC as all their other blends.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, it's not blended the same. It's certainly a bit more potent in terms of strength and nicotine strength. Very nice, full flavored, enjoyable. I really loved it, but I'm still a committed Four Kicks fan at heart. I still think that's their... I stopped short of saying best blend because it's merely a personal preference, really. The cigars are always made well and whatnot. But for my taste, I go for the Four Kick still. It's my favorite of their offerings.
Yeah,
they've been
the new My
aging very
Father,
well, too.
I won't say I was disappointed, but it seemed a little bit more strong in terms of strength rather than flavor. It seemed to be, it's not over the top. Certainly, it's not going to kill you with its strength, but a little out of balance for me. If I was going to pick a My Father, it's going to be the original line with the little number 1 Robusto or any of the offerings from Flor de la Santilla.
It's interesting. I smoked a My Father cigar this week, and I want to say this was a gift from Stogie Santa because the cellophane on it was really yellow. It was maybe a little larger than a Robusto size. I don't know, Kip, maybe you can help me out with the size. It was a regular My Father, little larger than a Robusto.
Their Robusto is a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
It's not what is now
Five and a
typical
half,
5 by
yeah, by
50.
52.
It's more like 5 1/4 by 52 or 54, something like that. It's a little bigger.
Yep, and this cigar was awesome. I mean, it started out with that traditional kind of spice and pepper, and it mellowed out, had a little bit of sweetness to it. I really enjoyed this cigar. I think that the My Father blend in general has some great aging potential in that regular core line.
I agree, and that sounds like you're smoking the exact cigar I mentioned a while back. That it's the number 1. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I had the number 4 tonight, which is the Lancero, and I strongly prefer those 2 Vitolas in that line.
I completely agree, and I have to say, construction-wise, that this blend from My Father is just spot on. Their quality standards are very, very high.
Yeah,
everyone
I
I've had
totally agree.
Yeah, I mean to add that into your regular smoking rotation, you won't be disappointed, especially if you can wait and put some age on them. They're going to smoke great in terms of burn and construction, and the flavor profile really changes over time in a very, very positive way. Craig, anything else you want to add about stuff you've been smoking lately? Maybe you had some go-to ones that you've been smoking. I know I mentioned a couple as well.
No, actually, I'm extremely light this week. I expect to have a pretty tough next month. I've got a project that's ramping up to close early July, and so been a lot of hours at the office and not a lot of time to relax. So just one in the last week that's of any substantial discussion-worthy note.
So, Craig, you don't do cigars for your full-time job?
Me? No.
No?
No, gosh, I would love to. Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
Yeah, well, I work from home most of the time unless I'm traveling, so I have the pleasure of having cigars all day, but I don't get paid for it.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm in the same boat. Will, what else you been smoking?
This one kind of was the one I want to talk about, but it was actually I smoked it probably a couple weeks ago. But it's a cigar that I've heard a lot about, and I really hadn't explored it. But it's the Regis of London, called the Black Label. So Regis cigars, I've heard a lot about them. I've heard guys like Doc Stogie Fresh talk about them. Catfish from Cigar Federation raved about them. I happened to meet Akil. I'm going to mess up his last name, but Akil's the brand owner. He came into Charlotte a few weeks ago, and he handed me the Black Label Corona. And it's a Nicaraguan Puro in a 5 1/8 by 42. And I liked it so much, I invited him on the show. Because this is just an outstanding cigar. I'm going to be sending some cigars your way for the show we do with him. In the words of Stogie Standard, it's all about balance. And this cigar is balanced with the flavors, with the strengths, the body. It's the interesting thing is I thought it brought together the two worlds of smoothness and spice together. And I know that sounds strange to hear. They sort of are, don't go together, but this one really does. You get those notes of cocoa, earth, and nut from the Nicaraguan profile. There's a black pepper. I called it Black Pepper Plus because there was something else going on with the pepper in this cigar that I couldn't quite put my finger on. The construction was so good, Paul, you couldn't even affect this cigar.
Oh, get out. I don't believe you. If you send me one, I guarantee you it's going to be plugged.
Now, I don't have the Coronas that I'm sending up. I have a different size that he sent. He did send some cigars for the but it's a potential belle of the ball in this line just because I haven't gone through the line yet. It's a fight Chuck Norris all the way. I really want to see what you guys think of this cigar when we have him on.
I believe his last name is Capasi.
Capasi, yeah, I didn't want to butcher it, but that sounds and spells right.
Yeah, last year in the Cigar Federation fundraiser for Project Manana, I won a bundle of a box of the Regis White Label, and very different than what you're describing. I believe it was a Dominican cigar. I think Manuel.
That's Quesada did that one.
Yeah, Quesada did that, and it was a fantastic smoke as well. It was about as well built a cigar as I'd ever had.
I was really, really amazed how good that Black Label was. I'm anxious to try the White Label.
Thank you.
I had one today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, this is one of those cigars I went back to my shop and said you need to bring in.
Yep.
Mark Jr., back to you.
Yeah, I reached for another one of my Lanceros from the box, and uneventfully I reached for the brown label.
Uneventfully, really?
I was sort of uneventfully in the sense that, like, dude, I probably smoked 25 of these already.
It's a size he's released in the past.
Right, yeah, and I've liked a lot in the past. Mm-hmm. But I will say this: these are not young or mature. These are much more mature than ones that you've bought fresh off somebody's shelf in the past. I love that brown label specifically for aging. The Noeas, the 7th Naturals. I've bought multiple boxes of both of those and aged them. This has, I wouldn't say it's terribly aged, right? But I'd say it's sat for a while, I would imagine, before it came out. This cigar had that sort of milk chocolate flavor that I love. That tends to come out with a little bit of age on those cigars, and That's why I say I think that these have been sitting around for a little bit. But great cigar.
One of the other Connecticut's that I reached for, and it's interesting to hear Will talk about spice, excuse me, and pepper, is the San Latano Connecticut's. They tend
That's
to
a
be
great cigar.
I like that cigar, by the way. I know Stogie Santa's not the biggest fan of it, but I like that cigar.
They tend to be on the spicy and pepper. They present that pepper kind of flavor and profile to them. And for Connecticut, it kind of catches you off guard, right? Because you think Connecticut, I'm gonna light it up first thing in the morning with coffee, and you first light it up, and it kind of hits you it hits me in the face anyway with that spice and pepper, and I'm like, whoa. And it does settle down, and it is a good cigar. This was a Toro-sized cigar. The Corona, I think, is much better. I think it's the belle of the ball in this size, and I smoked a couple of different Vitolas in the San Latano, Connecticut. And I understand what AJ Fernandez is trying to do with this Connecticut line, is put that Connecticut wrapper on there, but include binder and fillers that give a lot more depth to the profile, add a lot more different components to that Connecticut kind of flavor. Not make it a bland, mild cigar by any stretch of the imagination. It puts some dimension to it, and I appreciate that. And I think this is a fiver. I think the Corona might be box worthy. I think it's got some aging potential in there. I think he's got some great things going on with his Connecticut blends.
People, AJ I don't think gets the credit, but that cigar's been out a while. It came out in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that started a lot of this trend for these amped up Connecticut's.
I agree.
Yeah, and I really do. And I mean, there's a lot going on with that cigar in the Corona. I agree with you.
It's like the Connecticut for the non-Connecticut smoker.
Yep. I mean, he kind of flipped
Sounds
it
like
with
it'd be
that
up my
line. He
alley.
made the Maduro more of the, more medium, I'll say. Well, less spicy maybe is the word I should use. But and the Connecticut's kind of the one that has a little more of the zip to it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Will, what else you got on your list?
I smoked this week Rocky Patel's the 226 2014 edition. Last year the 226 came out, and I loved it. I loved the 2013 one a lot. I thought it was one of the better Rocky Patel cigars that came out. It had a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. This one they kind of quietly released. They didn't put a lot of fanfare around it, and they don't tell you a lot about it. They don't tell you what the wrapper, binder, and filler is at all. And I've heard from a couple of reps that it's a different blend. Although when I smoked it, I don't think it's radical. I think it's probably based on the 2013, but it's definitely a different smoke. I think it also is the way you could tell the 2013s from the 14s. The 14s have an orange and white band, and the 13s have a black and white band. I kind of just thought it was missing something from the 2013. It had some bittersweet espresso notes, earths. It had a lot of white pepper. It lacked a lot of the sweetness that I thought the 2013 one had. And this is another one of the cigars. The strength really sneaks up on you in the second half. It really gets strong. I got excellent construction on this. The 2013 I would say is a box split. This one is a fiver. It's not a bad cigar, but at a $14 price point, there's a lot more $14 price points I'd go for, but it's not a bad cigar. It's probably I felt it was better than a try one. So if there's something between a try one and a fiver, I went fiver. I gave it the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Try two.
Yeah, we don't have a rating. Try two.
We don't have a try two rating.
We do now.
Stating that.
Yeah.
We do. That would be a 2.75.
Yeah.
One cigar. We're starting to run a little short on time. Well, I don't know if you had a segment for this show.
We did, but I think we went way over.
Yeah. I smoked an Aging Room F55 Quattro in the Robusto size.
Let me ask a question, Paul. Did you have a construction issue with that?
I didn't.
Okay.
What?
I
Go ahead.
didn't.
No,
Why? Is that known to have construction issues?
Absolutely.
I've had a few with the most recent batch, and maybe it was just me. That's why I was asking that.
It was a little soft. It was a little squishy. but it smoked okay. I thought it was a good cigar. I think most of the stuff coming out from Aging Room I've generally enjoyed. And we had will help me out. Mark Jr. help me out. Who is it from Aging Room?
Rafael Nadal.
Rafael Nadal on the show. I really love his blends. There's really, I don't know, there's few things that he puts out that I wouldn't rate at least a 5 or a box split, in my opinion. A great medium body profile, great sweet flavors. This was a good one. I think that the M356, I want to say.
Yep.
I think that one's a little better than this one in terms of flavor profile and being a little stronger on the burn, draw, and construction. But this was a good cigar.
I really like it, but in terms of flavor, but I've
What size did you
I've
have?
had some problems. The Expressivo.
I had the Robusto size.
See, I think the one that got the aficionado rating was the bigger size, and I think that Robusto is the better size.
Mm. Yeah, there's really nothing that he puts out that isn't pretty fabulous, actually.
I'm still a big fan of the first thing, though.
What was that?
The M356.
The M356 was definitely the bell of the ball of all his lines. I don't know what size in the M.
The Presto.
Is
There's
the
no
Presto.
doubt about it for me.
That must have been the one we smoked on the show.
It's like a Petite Robusto almost.
Yeah,
It's like a Rothschild, they call it. It's like a 4x48 or 46.
My suggestion to the listeners is to be buying up the Aging Room, right? Because they're all kind of small batch.
Yeah, the 356s, I think, from what Raphael said when he was on the show, it sounded like they're running to the end of those.
Yeah. Buy those up. They're all fantastic. Kip and Craig, your assessment of Aging Room, are there particular Vitolas and lines that you like to smoke in Raphael's line?
Oh, I do. That small batch Maduro, or Aging Room Maduro he put out last year. I
Yeah,
thought
those
that
are
was a
very good.
fantastic cigar.
Yeah, I think
Me too, that's the one I like.
we smoked that on the show. That was fantastic as well.
Yeah, that is definitely a clear favorite from me from
Me
them.
too.
And I've kind of smoked onesies and twosies across the board from them, but that's the only one that I had a good number of.
Yeah.
Of course, they're all gone at this point for
yeah,
me.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about this more recently, that these are cigars that just aren't heavily on our radar, but there's not a strong reason why.
Yeah.
Just one of those things. They're oft overlooked amongst the two of us. I probably have reached for more swags than Aging Rooms, to be honest with you.
Really? You like those swags a lot, Craig?
I don't know if I'd say I like them a lot. I've got a shop near me that is pretty heavily invested in a lot of the stuff coming from boutique brands, and I think the swag just probably lines up a little bit better with my flavor profiles that I've had.
Fair enough.
He's got a lot coming out this year. He's got a lot coming out for the show.
They have a new.
yeah.
They just announced a new, similar to the Perfecto that came out last year. I'm completely
Yeah,
blanking on
there's
the
going to be
name.
another Fortissimo.
Yeah, with a Maduro wrapper
With
or
a
something.
Maduro, yeah.
I read that. Yeah.
It's going to be the M20.
I think I read that on cigar-coupe.com.
I don't. No, actually, you didn't. I didn't
No?
get to it. Was the issue?
No.
But yeah, it was on another.
Maybe I just read your mind
website.
Hey, Will, do you have an update for our listeners on contests?
We are going to close out the contest on the next show for the Debonaires and the J Grotto Lanceros, the Silk, and strictly. I could not close the contest out this week. I was tied up with my day job. I'm actually on the road this week, so that will close out next week. And then we will do the cigar draft where I'm going to give away the box of the San Cristobals sometime in June. So, folks, stay tuned for that.
Excellent. And Kip and Craig, when are you guys broadcasting next?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's our standard is Friday nights,
What a better
9:30ish.
what better time to have a cigar than Friday night at 9:30 and tune in and watch you guys show?
Or any other time of day for that matter.
Yeah. Friday at 9:30 though, that's prime time for a cigar.
Now,
Yeah, it
just
is.
Stogie Geeks listeners know we're doing a Friday show next week.
Next week.
Yes, that's next week.
That's just a one-off.
Because we have graduations on Thursday.
Yeah.
A bunch of us.
So for all those Stogie Geek listeners who are looking for something to do and something to watch during intermission, tune on over to Half
There you go,
Ash. Why
there
the
you
heck
go.
not?
But you guys,
You guys did it last week on Thursday, so
We
have to
did.
make it
We
even
stepped
now.
on you. We had a little bit of scheduling difficulties and had
It
to
happens.
push
It
one in on
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah, we take advantage of it though. Whenever we broadcast on a night when other SigFed shows are, namely you guys, we always tend to reward the chat room, the people who are up at Half-Ashed chatting with us, who have shown some allegiance. It's a funny little thing. We'll give away a $5, or I think you gave away like a pretty kick-ass 10-pack. Not last week, but the last time we recorded on a Thursday night, didn't you, Kip?
I did. Well, actually, I think it was 5, but it was 5 exceptional cigars.
And now that I think about it, this is a pretty jackass thing for me to say on your show. Hey, we give away free stuff. Don't listen to the Stogie Geeks. And I don't mean it that way.
Well, we all don't charge for our giveaways. Let's
Right.
put it like that.
Yeah. We don't need any new motorcycles.
yeah,
That's right.
well,
all our contents are free.
giveaways are fun, and I think that's a great point, and why you should listen to some of the shows live, like us and like Half Ash is for the contests. It's one of the small reasons to listen, and one of the things I want to do, and I'll try and do that next week, on the Friday when we broadcast and in subsequent shows, is you guys have it right, Craig and Kip, is to give something to your live listeners as well, and I'm sure you are the same as us, right? Sometimes you get some free cigars from some manufacturers, and some of them we smoked and we've talked about on the show, and we've given them the press that they so lovingly deserve, and we've got some extras, and I know I've got some few in my humidor that I'm looking to give away to listeners as well. So you'll see those in future Stogie Geeks episodes.
We'll go into the archives of your locker.
That's right. That's right. What is is it the brand, Will, that is the Costa Rican Puros? What is that one?
It's not Costa Rican Puros, but Brun Del Rey.
Yeah, Brun Del Rey. I've got quite a
Yeah.
few Brun Del Rey. I've got some EP Carrillo that will be featured on some subsequent shows for giveaways.
Yeah,
For
those Brun Del Reys will be good giveaways because it's something different.
Yeah, and for live listeners too.
Yeah, for the live. Yeah,
There's always
giveaways
giveaways for the recorded shows as well, but we'll have some giveaways for live listeners. So it's a great time. I mean, that's how I got started in cigar podcasts. I used to listen to Dog Watch and then tune in live when I could and have a cigar and listen to the show. It's a great way to unwind from your week. You guys, Half-Ash will be broadcasting tomorrow night. Great way to end your week, have a cigar, listen to the show, and just relax. So
That's why we do it.
awesome. Yeah, like we're doing the same thing, right? We just want to unwind from our week and have a cigar, and we just happen to have the cameras on.
Absolutely.
We
Awesome.
unwind before the end of the week.
We start our unwinding on Thursday, so awesome. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to Craig and Kip for coming on the show.
Yep.
Thanks
Will,
for having us.
thank you very much,
Absolutely.
Will, for making the effort from your hotel room in an undisclosed location.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening, and that concludes this episode of the Stogie Geek Show. We'll see everyone next week on Friday.
Good night, everybody.
Most people.
Good night.